A pleasant day to my professor, Dr. Maria Martha Manet Apostol Madrid, and to my fellow classmates. Today I am going to talk about Introduction to Applied Linguistics. Here are the following objectives that we are going to cover today. 1. Define the meaning of applied linguistics. 2. Identify language-related problems of applied linguistics. Number 3. Recognize relevant queries that applied linguistics seeks to answer. Number 4. We're going to discuss the relationship of applied linguistics to other disciplines. And we are going to distinguish the differences between linguistics applied and applied linguistics. Now we are going to define applied linguistics from different scholars in the field. So applied linguistics is using what we know about language, how it is learned, and how it is used in order to achieve some purpose or solve some problem in the real world. According to Corder, applied linguistics is the utilization of the knowledge about the nature of language achieved by linguistic research for the improvement of the efficiency of some practical task in which language is a central component. While Crystal defined it as it is where the primary concern in the application of linguistic theories, methods, and findings to the elucidation of a language problems which have arisen in other areas of experience. While Richards defined it as the study of second and foreign language learning and teaching, it is also the study of language and linguistics in the relation to practical problems such as lexicography, translation, and speech pathology. While Wilkins define it as, in a broader sense, applied linguistics is concerned with increasing understanding of the role of language in human affairs, and thereby with providing the knowledge necessary for those who are responsible for taking language-related decision, whether the need for this arises in the classroom, the workplace, law court, or the laboratory. I am going to share to you a brief video clip about applied linguistics.
Today, I'm going to talk about the question, why has applied linguistics been termed a problem-solving approach to language? We can explain by answering these two questions. What problems applied linguistics can solve, and how they were solved. Let's start with what. At first, applied linguistics was set up to deal with problems of language teaching and learning, so it was the initial problem, and it's still the core field. On the other hand, applied linguistics soon broadened out into many other areas: law, medical communication, media discourse, technology, social questions, and lots of other problems applied linguistics engages in. A computer programmer wants to get a computer process human speech. A civil servant wants to plan a language policy. A police officer wants to identify a hostage taker when they only have the speech of the terrorist. All those real-world language-related problems embraced by applied linguistics. Then how applied linguistics solve those problems? Actually, applied linguistics don't solve those problems directly. Even though it solves problems related to language teaching, law, and medicine, applied linguists are not teachers, lawyers, or therapists. They solve the problems by contributing their interpretation and suggestions. No linguist can convict someone, but they can respond to the judge's problem by analyzing a record of the suspect and providing professional linguistic advices. Rather than saying you should follow this way of language teaching, applied linguistics tends to give teaching suggestions and let the teacher to try and determine by themselves. That's why has applied linguistics been termed a problem-solving approach to language. When describing in this way, I believe you can see the key elements and characteristics of this discipline. Today, I'm going to talk about
In this part, we are going to tackle what are the language related problems that we encounter in applied linguistics. So, first, we have language learning, language teaching, literacy, language contact, and language culture. We also have language policy and planning. What else are the problems related to language? We have language assessment, language use, language and technology, as well as translation and interpretation, and the last one, language pathology. We also have questions that applied linguistics addresses, such as how can we teach languages better? How can we diagnose speech pathologies better? How can we improve the training of translators? How can we develop valid language examinations? As well as how can we determine the literacy levels of a population? We also have what advice can we give the Ministry of Education on proposals to introduce a new teaching method? What advice can we give a defense lawyer on the authenticity of a police transcript of an interview with a suspect? We also have applied linguistics related disciplines. So, what is the relationship between applied linguistics and other language related disciplines? Applied linguistics occupies an intermediary mediating position between language related disciplines such as linguistics, psycholinguistics, and sociolinguistics and professional practice. It also uses theories, principles from language related disciplines in order to understand language related issues and to solve language related problems. The choice of which disciplines are involved in applied linguistics matters depends on the circumstances. So, what else? Applied linguistics conducts research into professional practice and on the basis of the results develops a particular theory. So here are the subfields of applied linguistics. In language and education, we have first language education, second language education, as well as foreign language education. In the language, work, and the law, we have workplace communication, language planning, as well as forensic linguistics. In the language information and effect, we have literary stylistics, critical discourse analysis. We also have translation and interpretation as well as information design. So here are the relationship of theoretical linguistics as well as interdisciplinary linguistics and applied linguistics. So they are subdivided and categorized. So in theoretical linguistics, we have phonology, morphology, syntax, and structural grammar. We also have semantics, historical linguistics. While in interdisciplinary linguistics, we have psycholinguistics, social linguistics, pragmatics, discourse analysis. We also have computational and corpus linguistics. While in applied linguistics, we have, of course, applied linguistics to language education, applied linguistics to foreign language education. We also have translation studies and lexicography. So, linguistics and applied linguistics. Linguistics is primarily concerned with language in itself and in finding ways of analyzing language and building theories that describe language. Applied linguistics is concerned with the role of language in people's lives and the problems associated with language use in people's lives. Linguistics is essential but not the only feeder discipline. So, what is the difference of linguistic applied or applied linguistics? So, according to Widozone, linguistic applied uses language data to develop our linguistic knowledge about language, while applied linguistic studies a language problem with a view to correcting it. So, Widozone in 2000, page 5, presents the question in terms of linguistics applied and applied linguistics. The differences between these modes of intervention is that in the case of linguistics applied, the assumption is that the problem can be reformulated by the direct and unilateral application of concepts and terms deriving from linguistic inquiry itself. That is to say, language problems are amenable to linguistic solutions. In the case of applied linguistics, intervention is crucially a matter of mediation. Applied linguistics has to relate and reconcile different representation of reality, including that of linguistics without excluding others. So, my takeaway from this particular talk is that it means that applied linguistics solves a lot of problems related to the application of language. I will be sharing with you how applied linguistics solves a murder case.
Martin Bayfield.
Well, in the aftermath of serious crime, the police used a whole array of techniques to track down the perpetrators. And tonight, Martin's been to investigate one of the latest forensic techniques.
This street in Stoke-on-Trent was the scene of a house fire that back in 2009 shocked the local community. When the fire brigade arrived, they discovered a father and two children had escaped the blaze. But tragically, the mother had died. Through tears, Christopher Burks explained to firefighters how he had saved his two children and battled the flames to try and rescue his wife Amanda from the loft bedroom. But it was to no avail. She had died in the blaze. But, like the recent high-profile Philpott case in which 6 children died, when the emergency services started to investigate the fire, certain things just didn't stack up.
The fire brigade went into the premises and they realised that Amanda's body wasn't in a natural position. It looked as if she'd been incapacitated in some way, and also the fire alarms had been tampered with.
Forensic tests showed that the blaze had not killed Amanda. She was already dead when the fire began. This left police with a number of questions. How and when had she died? Throughout the day, more than a dozen text messages were sent from Amanda's phone. The last one at 7:48 in the evening. But when family members read the messages, they thought something was wrong. The text didn't look like they'd been written by Amanda. But could they give a clue as to what had happened that day? Detectives began to question Christopher's story. Could it be possible that he had murdered his own wife and then used her mobile phone to send text messages to cover his tracks? Police needed expert help. So they came to linguistics specialist Dr. Tim Grant. When he's not teaching, he works with police forces from all over the UK. He analyses the use of language in written documents, everything from emails to letters, to prove who wrote them. Staffordshire Police asked Tim to look at the texts sent from Amanda's phone. Could he establish who had written them?
First thing you need to do is establish what is consistent in each of their texting style. And to do that, you have to have a large collection of text messages for each of them. For Amanda Burks, her phone was destroyed in the fire. And so the police had to collect those messages from friends and work colleagues and family members. And they collected a set of 200 text messages. And we had a similar set of 200 text messages from Christopher Burks.
Tim got to work scrutinising the texting styles used by Christopher and Amanda. So, Tim, we've got some examples of the disputed text messages that Christopher claims Amanda sent. What is it about them that leaps out to you?
We've got this first message, which was sent at about 1 o'clock. This message says, "Not sure yet, I'm just talking with Chris." And we have the spelling of just, which is JST, which is typical of Christopher Burks' style. We have the spelling of with as WIV, with, and that's a Christopher Burks style feature that only he uses and Amanda Burks never uses.
So that was at 1 o'clock. We then roll on, the clock is ticking, and there's another text comes through.
Okay, we have don't, spelt DNT, is definitely a Christopher Burks feature. He only spells it that way, and Amanda Burks only spells it DON''T.
Tim analysed 15 more texts sent from Amanda's phone that day. He concluded that Christopher Burks probably wrote all of them. And was there a time where suddenly these started to appear in the text messages.
Yes, after 12:39, there's no messages that you would attribute to Amanda Burks.
So detectives believe Burks probably killed his wife sometime before 12:39 in the afternoon. And later that night, he set fire to the house to cover his tracks. Forensic linguistics was crucial to helping police solve the case.
It's important because it shows a full picture of what actually occurred on that day. There was some sort of planning post Amanda being murdered to try and cover his tracks.
Although he initially pleaded not guilty to murder, when prosecutors put all the evidence to Burks, he changed his plea to guilty on the first day of his trial. Christopher Burks must surely have thought he'd got away with murder, but he was nailed by his own words and is now serving a minimum of 19 years in prison.
Well, proof that techniques like that are vital. And
Martin Bayfield.
well, in the aftermath of serious crime, the police used a whole array of techniques to track down the perpetrators.
Thank you for that. So here are my references. Again, thank you for listening to me.